Building furniture is hard. Just ask this guy. He's seen me for the past week coming home stinky, covered in sawdust, and ready to quit. Now you might be thinking, yeah, duh, building furniture is hard. You don't say. But I just want to preface this video by saying that my wife and I have been refinishing furniture here in Austin for about 8 months, and on a lot of our videos we get comments, stupid cat. On a lot of our videos we get comments saying, oh, all this work, you might as well just build the furniture yourself. And so in this video, I'm here to tell you that that's not true. There's a lot to building furniture. So today we're gonna be going through our process of building our first dresser from scratch. We learned a ton and I'm excited to share it with everyone. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, I almost got ahead of myself there. I also want to preface this video by saying that if you're looking for a step-by-step video on how to build furniture, unfortunately, this video is not that. Because this was such a challenge and such a learning process for us, there were lots of parts of this video that we just didn't film. So we will be doing another video. Our next video is going to be a deep dive into each step, but this video is just more of a vlog style, I guess, of us just talking through everything, sharing our past week with you guys. We didn't think it would take a week, so we're gonna go through everything, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, so the first challenge that we faced was buying the wood. And if we had a truck, this would have been a whole lot easier. We would have just driven our truck down to the Home Depot, because that's the only place that we know to buy wood. And we would have bought 4 pieces of plywood? We would have bought some plywood, loaded it into the truck, and driven off. But it's not that easy because we've got an SUV, so I've got a Subaru Forester. It can fit a lot of stuff, but sheets of plywood, no it cannot. So we had the folks in Home Depot cut it up for us. But it was actually really funny because the day after we bought our sheets of plywood, my kind of go-to guru for everything woodworking is Bourbon Moth, and he released a video the day after specifically saying, don't buy wood from Home Depot, here's where you should buy your wood, this is way overpriced plywood. So anyway, we had already had a cut, so we can't really return it. We had some overpriced plywood, and that's just what we used. Okay, this was so stupid, all right? So, okay, here we were, sitting in Home Depot. We were like, oh, okay, let's tell the Home Depot guys, just leave it like a little extra. A little, because we needed each piece cut to like 60 by 20, something like that. We were like, oh, we'll just make it like 60 1/4. And we'll make this other piece like maybe 20 1/2, you know? And then what we absolutely did do is go home and totally forget about that and not cut it to the exact proper measurements, which caused us a whole plethora, a whole slew, a whole smorgasbord of problems down the line, which were tough to solve, but that's part of the learning process. Which leads us right into our next challenge, not having the right equipment. So throughout building this, we spent, how much did we spend on equipment?
God, I don't even want to think about
How much did we spend? We spent around $700 on a new table saw, which is an investment that I'm happy to make. We also spent around the same amount of money on a dust collector, which again, you know, this is stuff that you have to have, but it just kind of sucks because now we're sitting here with, I mean, it's a beautiful dresser. We're sitting here with a beautiful dresser and some great equipment, but the upfront cost that I'm used to when I'm refinishing furniture is like 50 bucks. You know, you buy one of these dressers, it's like 50 bucks, and then you're not like constantly thinking about that 50 bucks while you're working. So that was one of the challenges here, is like I'm building this dresser and the whole time I'm thinking like, oh man, we better sell this thing fast, or we better, you know, do something. So that's one of the challenges we faced. But now that we have that good equipment, this is gonna be so much easier in the future. There's gonna be way less dust all over our workplace. We're gonna have a table saw that I can just easily slide pieces of wood through. So the reason we had to buy a new saw is our old saw just sucked. It was the first tool that we ever bought. We got it for like 70 bucks off Facebook Marketplace. And the guide that you clamp down, if the wood is too heavy, it'll slowly start to like slide that guide to the right. So you're not getting straight cuts. So that's exactly what was happening. Even when I tried to clamp, put a clamp beside it, stuff was still messing up for some reason. So we had to invest in a proper table saw. We realized right away this is not gonna cut it. So we went out and bought a Delta table saw, which I'm super excited to show off. If you clamp down that guide, it just will not move. It's freaking awesome. It also squares itself. So when you pull down the lever, if it's not 90 degrees, like you don't have to go and measure the back and measure the front to make sure they're the same. It's gonna square itself up, which is amazing. And as far as the dust collector, oh man, MDF board is just a very cancerous material. I mean that literally and figuratively. This dresser that we made, we were creating cove cuts on MDF board. It's a little cheaper than plywood, and I thought it would be a little easier, which I think it was. But we had this huge cove cut router bit, and I slid the MDF boards through that, which just slung dust everywhere. Even when I plugged in the vacuum to the back of the router table, it was just not getting much of it, and dust was everywhere. I would come home covered in dust. I would track dust everywhere into the house, even after shaking my shirt off. I have a leaf blower, so I would even leaf blow myself off, but there's no getting that stuff off. And so we knew right away we had to get a dust collector. So just a couple things that we had to buy, no getting around it. So to backtrack a second, so our original plan was to not buy a new table saw, obviously. We started off by trying to cut nice straight lines with the circular saw, and it just wasn't going as well. I think Festool makes an awesome track that you can clamp to the bottom of something so it won't move. We don't have that. So for us, it was it would wiggle a little bit, and it just wasn't ideal. We even bought a new blade for it, but the blade wasn't the issue really, so. Yo, Caleb from the future here. We're currently midway through editing this video, and I just wanted to say, I forgot to mention that one of the big reasons we couldn't get the circular saw to go properly along the Craig track is because of the freaking table that we had. It was, God, the table for this project caused us so many problems. The plan was to have that table be an outfeed table for the new table saw. When we're done cutting a piece of wood, we slide it onto that table. But it was 7 inches too short. So we attached some 7-inch wooden legs to it, and then I left some wood gluing up on it overnight. And the next morning I came over to find the wood all over the glue up all over the floor, and the table, the legs had bent under the pressure. So anyway, we had to spend another day finding a replacement table, and thankfully we did. We've got an awesome table now. But I just thought of that, so I wanted to tell you. Anyway, when we were building the body of the dresser, there were a lot of complications that came with using the circular saw, because when you're building the body, it's really, really important to have everything perfectly square. The top needs to be the exact same length as the bottom. And if it's not, it's just gonna cause tons and tons of problems down the road, which is something we already knew from furniture flipping. So for this dresser in particular that we're building, you're supposed to be able to build it so that the spacers fit on one side and the other side, and there's no gaps or anything. And there's one piece in the middle. So here's the body, and here's the middle, and there's a little spacer on either side that's supposed to completely fill this gap. But since we cut things with the circular saw, not everything was perfect, and those spacers didn't fully fill those gaps, so we had to get a little creative and kind of fly by the seat of our pants a little bit. Okay, so we muscled past that, and then we were on to the next challenge, which was creating the drawers. So after we made all of those cuts for the body using the circular saw, it was at that point that we finally got our new table saw. So with the table saw, making the drawers was a breeze. We cut all the pieces of wood, everything was perfect. No guide moved or anything like that. It was really nice. But some things that might be muscle memory or just something that most woodworkers don't even have to think about at this point is pocket holes. And for me, I drilled a lot of them. Let me just say that. Gosh, I got it wrong several times. So I've started off by drilling pocket holes in the side pieces of the drawers before realizing that they actually need to be on the front and back of the drawer. So then, now that the drawers are assembled, we just have these pocket holes in the side of each drawer that you can see that don't have any screws in them. So that's just a little piece of character. You know, whoever buys this piece is gonna get that little added character. But yeah, even after I knew that they were on the front and back, I still messed it up somehow. So some drawers have like 3 or 4 pocket holes on each side. But yeah, you live and you learn. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah, and aside from that, I'm supposed to make the dado cuts on the side opposite the pocket holes, right? So the pocket holes are supposed to be not visible from the inside of the drawer. If you're looking at the drawer, you shouldn't see any pocket holes. On ours, you see pocket holes on the front, you see pocket holes on the back, you see pocket holes on both sides. So, yeah, I don't know. We have plenty of pocket holes. And aside from that, it made the assembly process way more difficult for me. You would think during assembly, I would be like, man, it's so hard to like reach inside this drawer and screw the pocket holes. If I did this from the outside, it'd be so much easier. But for some reason, I didn't think of that. So I just powered on and screwed those pocket holes, you know, reaching inside the drawer to get those pocket holes. Man. Also, if Craig sold a, whatever that screw head is, it's like this long. It only comes in this size. So it's adding this much to your drill, which is already like this. And then, you know, that's pretty damn big. Craig, that's pretty big. Come on. Make a smaller size. Send us a smaller size, if there is one. It's so big. My drill's already big. What a handsome dude. That's my boy. Okay, so the next thing that we dealt with, I'm trying to think.
Whoa.
Oh, another thing, this wasn't really a challenge because my wife is super hot and awesome, but one thing that we did for the first time that we haven't done before is, whoa, here he goes. You got poop on your butt. You're on our bed with, oh, that's great. That's great, that's real good. Anyway, one thing that we dealt with that we haven't ever done in the past is apply Osmo to the body of the dresser. Since it's all wood, I don't know what to say about that. You did it, babe, what do you think?
Okay, so we decided to switch to Osmo because I don't know, I just feel like it's just more of a professional finish.
Yeah. Also, one thing that I've noticed is in the furniture flipping community, and I'm not bashing it, I'm not trying to bash anyone, but in the furniture flipping community, there are certain things that are spread around and they're kind of assumed as fact, right? And everyone just uses poly. They just do. It's a common thing to use in furniture, but I've been hearing lately that over the years, if it's exposed to sun or even if it's not exposed to sun, it'll start to peel and you'll have to kind of totally fix it again. So with Osmo, you don't have to do that. So that's what we're using now. That's what we're gonna be using from now on. There's probably a lot of other stuff in the furniture flipping community like that, but just take everything with a grain of salt and do your own research. That way we're not kind of all doing it wrong and spreading it to the next person. Polyurethane it's good for some stuff, right? So a lot of people, a lot of companies even will use multiple coats of poly to finish the inside of drawers. We still used it on those MDF pieces after we primed and painted them just to kind of seal them in and give them that nice satiny finish. I love you. I love you a lot. I buy you food and water. So, those are really the only challenges that we dealt with. Aside from that, you know, I do want to say there were some things that we weren't expecting that made things really difficult. There were some tools that we didn't have that made this really difficult. And aside from that, it wasn't that difficult. Aside from that, it was really nice because you're in control. When you're furniture flipping, there's lots of stuff that you're not in control of, right? When you buy a piece, you never really know what you're getting into. But with this, you know what you're getting into, basically. And if something goes wrong, you know exactly whose fault it is. So make it easy on yourself. And hopefully next time we will. Thank you for sticking through this unorthodox video. I hope you guys liked it. If you did, leave a like. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Click that notification bell so you can be aware of when we upload new videos. And if you want the 1.0 prototype with all visible pocket holes, you can get it. It's really beautiful aside from the pocket holes. So seriously, if you want it, we can ship it nationwide. Check out our Etsy. And if you live in Austin, message us on Instagram. And yeah, we can make it yours for you only. You can have it. Yeah, thank you guys so much for supporting us. We got so much support on our last video where we announced we would no longer be regularly flipping furniture, and I was kind of scared we would lose half of our subscribers, so thank you for not unsubscribing, and I will see you in our next video. Peace. That's how I end it. You better full send it. I'm about space-time, I'm about to bend it. Flowing back in time. Social media, I trend it.